Good morning, everybody. This is Jack Gleason with Startuptrading.com. It is 8 a.m. Chicago, 9 a.m. New York, March 5th, 2020. For our economic news events, we have OPEC meetings all day, so you will see volatility in oil because of that. This morning at 5 a.m., we had French 10-year bond yields. At 4:48, we have the Spanish 10-year bond auction. At 7:30, Challenger job cuts. 8 a.m. MPC member Holland speaking for the Great Britain pound. At 8:30, non-farm productivity, revised unit labor costs, and unemployment claims, which are obviously all already out. We're going to have factory orders at 10 a.m. I think that'll be more than normal, an important number just because of everything going on. And then natural gas storage at 10:30. Bank of England Governor Carney will be speaking at 12. At 12:45, Bank of Governor Polez will be speaking. And then this evening, FOMC member Kaplan will be speaking at 6:30. These are all East Coast times. Australian retail sales at 7:30. And then we also have Williams and Kaskari speaking tonight too. Tomorrow morning, we have a couple of Red Star news events. For the Canadian dollar, we have the employment rate, trade balance, and unemployment rate. For the U.S. markets, we have the average hourly earnings, non-farm employment change, and the unemployment rate. So those are going to be all very important going into Friday. Those are going to be our biggest news events for the U.S. markets for the week. Let's start off with our bonds. Last night, I put a note in the Startup Trading chat room that, hold on one second. We were coming into this extension. This is the extension from yesterday morning. We talked about this setup at the 170.30. The 170.30, we had traded the 38% retracement once. We had traded it twice going into the open yesterday. We were at this level yesterday. We ran up, retested those profit targets, and then came all the way back down into the end of the day as the indexes were ripping. But what did we come back down into? Just our next setup. And the long trend continues in the bond market. We traded those 170.31s on close. We ran all the way back up. These are huge ranges for a bond market. The bond market is incredibly tactical, as are most of our markets right now, all the way back up to the old profit target at 173.04 half, at 173.04 half. Okay, so right now, our next setup to get into the trend, you could look at a full 50% retracement long for the day, which lines up with the 38% retracement of the extension. It is a 171.27. Moving on to ZN. ZN did not make it into the extension. The ZN is the more aggressive sequence. What has held here is the halfway back low for the week to high, and we validated that by breaking out of our shorts. So our supports right now on a retest would be a 135.16. A 135.16 in the more aggressive sequence would be a halfway back from lows. So the low of the overnight session, too high is a 135.29 half. 135.29 half for our 50% retracement from the overnight low to high, and then below that the higher time frame retest of support would be a 135.16. Moving on to the VIX, this is where things get interesting for the indexes specifically. There was an absolutely massive tell in the VIX yesterday as to what was going to happen. An absolutely massive tell for what was going to happen regarding if the indexes were going to continue that rally into close. The VIX, and then this was really something we talked about yesterday morning, the VIX was in a halfway back long from the lows of the week to high, and we were bullish in the VIX above 2660s here. Okay, if we don't break that level in the VIX, well, hedges continue to get put on, and that forces the S&P lower. So what do we have here in the overnight session? Well, we have another 2% sell-off. We're down 67 points in the S&P. And what did we run into at the close? This is a level you guys have known about for some time. This was also in yesterday's video. The full 50% retracement at 31.25 traded at the close as the VIX made a higher low and stuck at 61.8. That is totally obvious as to what the market thinks going. The indexes got squeezed, but the hedges in the VIX stayed on. Our downside targets are the same. We still have downside targets in the S&P at 27,000, or sorry, 2,722. So, that is over 300 points below where we're currently trading. And from yesterday, that's a 400 point profit target. That is a 400 point profit target in the S&P, which is absolutely massive. You can still watch this opposing halfway back short, but as I've been saying, guys, the trend is completing down. The headlines are not going to get better. The headlines are not going to get better related to the coronavirus. It's just important that we're aware that diseases spread before they contract, and we haven't even begun spreading here in the United States. So coming out of those highs, we had a micro extension series. For those of you guys who are part of my program, you understand that. But if you're not, basically the only next entry is the swing high from close to low, and you just take it to every new low until we get that pullback. So right now, the entry into the trend would be a short covering rally to 30.83 quarter, and if we make a new low, you're just going to have to move that number down. All right, and it does look like we're going to make a new low. There is an extension from the low, from that prior low to low. So for those of you guys who understand how to trade extensions and aggressive, there is an extension from that level. Same thing for the Dow here, guys. What did the VIX do? The VIX held its long setup. What did the indexes do? They ripped out. That's a false breakout. Okay, this is just a trap for bulls. We retested these halfway back shorts. The Dow's daily target is 23,526. That will be 6,000 points off of the Dow all-time high. We will come down 6,000 points off the Dow all-time high. 23,526 is your daily downside target for the YM, and do not doubt that it can hit. Do not doubt that. We have had a second test. We barely dipped in the highs, just enough to take out anybody who put a stop there. And we have been selling off aggressively ever since as the VIX has held. It's important to know where the VIX's profit target is as of right now. If the profit target completes in the VIX, which it looks like it might, before the indexes make a new low, that is your best chance at a short covering rally. So if the profit target completes in the VIX, that profit target is 33.20s. If that completes in the VIX, that is where you could get short covering in the indexes before they hit profit targets. Otherwise, we're not going to cover or see an aggressive short covering rally until we complete or retest higher time frame levels. So be very aware of where that level is in the VIX. It's a 33.20. 33.20. It's very important. All right, moving back over here to the Dow, yeah, just look for that full halfway back. There's also, like I said, there is an extension from this low. There is an extension from this low, but I'm not going to draw it up because we're going to be going into the open, high volatility. Halfway back is 26,690 right now. Moving on to the NASDAQ, you can see here's that same extension. It's trading in all of the markets. What did the NASDAQ do on the daily time frame? It retested the halfway back short. That's it. That's all it's doing. All right, our downside targets in the NQ are 77.35 on a completion. 77.35. Okay, that is a hell of a lot further down. It'd be a, what is that, a 1,200 point target, a 1,200 point daily target for the NQ. Halfway back short is 88.1675 right now. Oil, it's going to have those headlines all week or with all day with the OPEC stuff. So you're going to have a lot of these whippy movements. The 50% retracement long for the week is down here at 46. And I think would be good for a first test. Yesterday, there was a long setup. Okay, we were in potential long setups yesterday, and we broke those long setups. When we broke those long setups, we set up in a short. And that 50% retracement short from the high of Wednesday to that low traded, and then has not completed profit targets. It's technically come, what is that low there? It's 33, so 10 ticks, 10 ticks from a completion. And then that same high to low seems to have been sold into. But I'm just going to leave up this original draw and say that we probably have a range between 46 and 47.53. A breakout of the top side of the range brings us up to the 49 level. That would be the next resistance. So if we start breaking out of 47.74, I would begin to look for pullbacks up into the 49 level. But right now it's a range between 47.53 and 46, which is a pretty big range. But there's no continuation here. There's no continuation. USD JPY is running into the extension target from Monday. We also had the halfway back short that was posted. We traded it in a front run Wednesday. We got our fill, the actual touch of the level, traded in the Asian session last night. That is a traditional with the downside target of 106.44. 106.73 is the extension target that traded on Monday. And if you look at this monthly chart, guys, this is a massive wedge that's going to break. And there is monthly targets at 101.44. This is going to be an incredible trend that develops this year. And when one of the things the USD JPY looks like most is the indexes. So when this thing's going down, the indexes are going to be weak as well. AUD USD has come out of its extension. The daily extension from 68.46 has had a second test, and we have come out of the extension. We have failed the pullbacks from yesterday's low to high. There is a valid short from the day's high to low, and we could finally reverse the trend that began after we completed short targets on Friday of last week. The AUD USD is trending down and has its next entry at 66.13 into the short trend. 66.13 on a pullback. Euro continues to stay strong here. We basically retested the lows of Tuesday, which at that time was an extension, but that extension had broken. So I did not have a draw there. We had a full 50% retracement yesterday that we were looking at. However, we've broken out of that. The only thing I'd look for is a full halfway back from Wednesday's low. That would be the next entry for me, 111.47, and I would wait for that. Otherwise, there's just nothing to do but watch. If you want to be aggressive, you can make an argument that there's an extension series here, but that's just not something I'm interested in. And we very well might be breaking out of, and it looks like what it's trying to do. And I talked about this before. We're in this channel in the euro, okay? Pushing up against these highs, and really as we approach, if we approach, a break through the high of the year, which is really close, that's where these lines are coming from, there very well could be the start of a pretty big run in the euro. I mean, we are going to have some massive currency movements develop out of what's going on, just because there's going to be a lot of central bank responses to the quote-unquote virus, all right? So they're going to start printing money to stop a virus. Doesn't sound like an effective policy to me. However, we're going to look to make money off these moves, and we very well could be breaking out of what is literally a 14, 15-month channel in the euro. This channel existed throughout 2019. You could make an argument that it began in 2018 and it's had continued through 2020. So, well over a year has this channel existed. We are at the top side of the channel, and if we start seeing breakouts and bids above, the high of the year here, call it 112.40s, the euro is going to run, and that means the dollar is going to get smoked. And with the dollar getting hit, we have our precious metal setups. We have the extension here in GC that has existed since the emergency rate cut on Tuesday. The upside target is a 1664. Let's remind you guys on the daily chart where our upside targets are. Our upside targets on the daily chart are 1749. And how about on the monthly? Our monthly targets in gold are 2,300, and honestly, if we get up there, we're going a lot further. It'll be a all-time high breakout of the price of gold going into the Fed probably announcing quantitative easing for. Silver has some catching up to do. When silver starts moving, it moves further, farther, and faster than what we see in gold. Like you can go back to really the last time silver absolutely broke out. Silver is still in this consolidation from, really you could say it began in 2014. This is a 6-year consolidation in silver. If silver can break out, whenever that happens above like 19, or you could even say like be early and call like 1880, that is really when you're going to see silver pick up with its momentum. Right now we're at the lower edge of a weekly wedge. There's a weekly wedge down here, and we traded the lower edge last week. Coming out of that lower edge, we had a pullback that ran to profit targets. We then had our next pullback on Tuesday after the emergency rate cut. This is technical. It's just taken a while to set up. Now here in the overnight session this morning, we clearly broke above the opposing 61, and we have our next pullback. Look at this. We also have a pretty nice looking trend line here. So this 1722.80 is the full pullback in silver, and we have upside targets of 1768 here on the hourly. I think the next resistance level, just looking at this negative 61 in this consolidation phase, is really up closer to 18. But this weekly halfway back that we are coming out of, and where this bid began, as well as a retest of the wedge, is all the way up at 21s, 21.14 to be exact. So we are in a bull trend in silver, and our next setup is 1722. We could still come full halfway back from the lows of last week, Friday to high, and be in a bullish sequence here in silver. But that's going to wrap up my morning trade plan. Everybody trade safe. VIX is breaking out to a new high, guys. So it does look like the VIX will hit that profit target before the S&P or any index longs. We're beginning gapping down 80 points here. Pretty significant after coming out of that high. But if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you think anybody would help find it useful, feel free to share it with them. If you're interested in joining my trade room, click the link below. Or if you're brand new to trading, there's a course I have that's $49 that'll help you get started. Anyways, everybody take care. Have a great day, and I'll catch all of my members in my trade room. I will share my levels. Take care.